Hi, everybody.
Hi.
I'm Vera.
Christina.
Soul's Enlightenment. Yeah. You guys check out our sign. Woo! I don't know if you can really see it, but it's back there.
Way back there on the wall. So Vera and I have part 2.
Right.
Of a fascinating subject about creation. And what is so useful about this topic is that the more that we understand, the more understanding we have, the more that we can use that information to help ourselves in dealing with
life.
Yeah, and negativity because we were talking about light versus dark entities, and when dark entities are around us in our life, having the information of where it's all coming from kind of, can help us to deal with them better and protect ourselves more. So it's all about protection. So
Anyway, Christina was talking or asking Angus about, and Angus is our not spirit guide, our master teacher on the other side.
And he talks through Vera.
Right. And Christina was asking questions about
my father. Yeah, years ago, I was trying to understand, because a lot of us, you might have someone in your life that has been quite a challenge, and for me, a lot of negative programming and abusive types of situations, and we want to understand, where is this person coming from? Is this what's going on? So anyway, to make a long story short, I was asking Angus about my father, and it was fascinating. I was saying, is he a dark entity, like a dark-hearted, a dark entity? And he was saying that actually he is a
lost light soul.
Yeah, a lost light soul. And that is the perfect description of what all dark entities really are, isn't it?
Yeah,
Vera?
A lost light soul.
Yeah, because God is perfect and God created us all as a light entity. But when we had free will choice,
and they lost it. I kind of like that better than dark entity. A lost light.
A lost light soul.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting because they've lost their light because one of the things that or lost light souls did.
You can say dark entity.
Yeah, okay, that's true.
Kind of a tongue twister.
Yeah. Is they chose to ignore God, and that is like losing their light in that darkness of being out for themselves.
Because He's a spark of the divine. I mean, and to lose that,
yeah.
I can't even fathom.
I know. Yeah. And, it's interesting, too, because we had heard a long time back that they rejected the feminine side of God, of Mother God. They rejected the feminine principle, which is an interesting thing. But that's another topic, too. But yeah, so they're a lost light soul. So what is helpful to us is that, the more that we know about and
understanding on why he was so abusive. Because you tend to think that it's about you. It's like, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
And being a child, Christina didn't know that there was anything different, right? Because you didn't know how other people lived and how other people, but once you start going to school and you start seeing parents of the other kids and you start going, why am I not loved? Why don't, but you're lucky you had your mom.
Yes.
Because at least you did have love.
Yeah. And it's a fascinating thing, because if you're in a situation where you're around somebody like that, they're scary.
Oh, yeah.
And it creates fear. And I never realized, Angus talked about it a long time ago, and he said that they like to make us afraid because really they're afraid. I'm like, what? How can that be? It was like really hard for me to understand that.
Because, they're like, their egos are so out of whack, so you think, well, they have all this bravado and all that, but deep down inside,
they're actually afraid.
So because we're more powerful.
Exactly. And
but they don't want us to know.
That is the point to why we're bringing this information to you, so that it'll help you to be empowered, to not be afraid of these people that might have control over the situation in your life. Because that's what happens when somebody else is, say, our parent, or it could be our boss.
Whatever.
Or, whatever.
Somebody at school,
a bully, or who knows what. Yeah. Because a lot of times they're actually afraid. But it doesn't always
mean that they're a dark entity.
Right. Exactly.
That's why you have to be really careful to judge somebody's soul, because it could just be that they're going through a dark time. that they're afraid because they've been abused, so they lash out too. So you don't really know
what's going on
in the soul. It's hard for us to judge, but we tend to because we're human, right?
Yeah.
You know, and that's what we talked about in the first video. We sometimes think, oh, that person's evil, so he's a dark entity, and not necessarily so. And that's when Christina and I were talking about the O.J. Simpson trial that's coming, the movie that's been coming out, the series.
And this is fascinating what Vera was talking about.
Yeah.
About this.
And Sylvia had told us, Sylvia Brown, psychic, had told us a long time ago, we had a trance, and she was talking about dark entities and all that. And somebody in the audience had said, like O.J. Simpson, and she said, he wasn't dark. And they're like, oh, you know, people were like going, I don't believe that kind of thing. But he wasn't dark. He was gray. But whenever on the other side, Nicole, Ron Goldman, and OJ decided that this is what they were going to do. I know it sounds so weird, but that's how we write our chart. This is what they were going to do. And she was a bright light, and Ron Goldman too. Yeah. So they wanted to bring the domestic violence
to light.
To light, exactly, so that people can really start realizing that it is out there, and so many women are getting killed. And it took somebody that was that popular, you know, and that you would never think would do something like that, do it. Now, has he turned dark? I don't know.
Yeah, because that was like you just said, it was the example that they were meant to bring forward to help.
Yeah, and you kind of think, like, you know, if he still was gray and still had a chance to be white, then after it happened, he could have had remorse. He could have stayed in the background. He could have just stayed to himself. But no, he had to go out there and brag. He had to go that, you know. Right. So I don't know.
And we wanted to point out, because we're talking about light and dark entities, but there's also entities that are in between, and they're called gray
entities.
And
they haven't decided.
Yeah, in our last video, we're talking about creation. So gray entities, they left the Godhead too, just like the dark did, but they're on the fence of how they want to be. So in life, they can have a very dark nature, but they can also be, so it's both.
Yeah, and that's what Sylvia said, that they're sometimes more dangerous.
Exactly.
Because you with the dark entity, you know their intent.
Yeah.
You know, they're always trying to do something bad.
And they still come, I remember her talking about, they still come with a flowery face.
Exactly.
So
they're beautiful
it's like,
sometimes.
Yeah, so you just don't know. They can even be a priest. Yeah. That you think,
a teacher,
a parent, a child. It could be anybody. That could be a dark entity. Would never, you know. Right. But then it could also be a gray. And so, like Vera was just saying, the grays, they haven't decided, and they're
more disarming because they go light, dark, light.
They switch back and forth so they can lure us in. And this is really interesting. I had somebody that was in my own family. And when she passed on, Angus was telling me this is the first time that she went to the other side, was after this life. She had never been to the other side yet. She was a gray. Wow. She was kind of abusive in life, but she did it in this life.
So she decided
to be a light soul. She got to be light, and it's a lot harder to go that way because it's more difficult in life because they, you know, they can have like this power over a situation over other people. Right. It's more alluring, you know, the dark side, the negativity can be more alluring
but that spark is
go
still
that
in
way.
there.
But that spark is still in there. So that's where a gray has the choice. And when because dark entities, they basically recycle right back in, but they do have a dark realm that they go to that they're waiting to come back in.
To another dark entity.
To another dark, you know, another incarnation. Yeah. And then the dark, they have kind of like a limbo that they go. So there's the dark realm, the other side, and then the middle. Yeah. So, anyway, was there anything else that we wanted to pass on to them?
No, that was just it. I mean, just, you know, live your life the best way you can. Try not to judge people. I know we will because we're human. But, you know, just do the best that we can with the information that we have. And that's why knowledge is power.
Yeah, and that's why we wanted to we are giving you information about tools for protection, because dark entities, not only they can physically harm us, but they can also send a psychic attack. And they can do that when they're in life, and they can also do it from the dark realm. And it comes in the manner of thoughts in our mind.
So we ask for white light to protect us. You can ask your spirit guide to help you, to protect you every day, your angels, whatever. Yeah,
and I don't mean just negative thoughts like, oh, I'm angry. I'm talking about our worst fears, because they like to create despair, because again, that's their calling. Their calling. So call on our angels and God, and our spirit guides. So anyway, we will share more again very soon. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Love and light to you.
Bye.
Bye.